Hello and welcome. I'm Regina McCann-Hess, and welcome to our Women in Wealth series. Today, I have a new friend with me. And Kathryn, can you tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Oh, yes, I'm Kathryn Trapp, and I work with US Health Advisors. We're a division of United Healthcare.
Okay.
And so, what I do is work with individuals to help them find affordable health options. So, if they're self employed, they want to retire early, unfortunately, going through divorce. So, one of the things that I try to be is a resource. And, to your point about what I love about my job is just that healthcare is so confusing,
Mm.
and to have someone, like when they're concerned about finances, you can be that trusted advisor. So that's what I try to do with health insurance, is just here's some options, what's going to work for you. If what I have isn't right, you know what, I've got somebody else that I know will help you and answer your questions. And it's real, and it's really nice when someone says, oh, thank you, I don't know what I would have done without you.
Yeah, that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling, especially when, like you said, it is a complicated area. And, when people are making those decisions, it's just like, oh my gosh, you kind of almost feel like a deer in the headlights. Like you're so afraid to make the wrong decision. And there's really not a lot of people there to help you. If you're working for a company, they just give you a packet here, figure it out, you know? So the
Exactly.
fact that you're there is pretty amazing.
Well, and I appreciate that, because again, it's a big decision. And I work with financial advisors, and their clients want to retire early, but the healthcare expense is one of the pieces that you have to fit into that puzzle to see if the numbers are going to work and if you can actually enjoy
Right.
your retirement. So
Right.
that's what I can assist with, is saying, here's the options, here's what it's going to cost, and here's what it's going to look like. And then go back to your financial advisor, and does it make sense?
Right, right. And that is one of the biggest costs in retirement, because when I'm doing retirement planning with people, one of the biggest conversations is around healthcare and of course long-term care too, but healthcare is one of the biggest line items on the budget for once someone is retired.
And the what's also difficult is if someone's worked for a company, they've been on a group plan,
Mhm.
and the company typically pays a portion of the premium. So people don't know really what the full price is. When I left education to come into this, it was like, oh, are you kidding me? How do
Yeah.
people afford this?
Yeah.
So there needs to be some thought and some planning. And, as you're working with people, we need to put away money for your healthcare, because you're going to probably be paying more out of pocket until you reach Medicare. It's kind of like one of those things about growing old. It's like, I can't wait to get to Medicare because I can afford my healthcare.
I have that conversation all the time, but Medicare can be expensive too, just not as expensive as having your own policy.
True. Yes, most definitely. And the other thing is that it's just, if you have worked hard and you have been well compensated, there aren't a lot of, tax credits and things like that that can help you reduce your health insurance premium. So it's like a catch 22.
Right,
Boy,
right.
it's great. I'm going to be able to and retire and enjoy my retirement with a comfortable income. Oh, but I'm not going to get any help with my health insurance.
True, true.
So it really takes a lot of thought
Yeah,
and
it's very
planning.
challenging, very challenging. I'm glad you're doing it for, for people to help them through that. What are some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman in your industry?
Um, you know, I think what it's actually in our industry, it's actually been a benefit to be female, because we are viewed as more compassionate, more caring, and so people are more open to having a discussion. But I think that, one of the biggest challenges sometimes being taken seriously, because especially in the insurance business, you need to really establish your credibility, because the stereotype is that people out there, whether they're male or female, are not reputable, or they're not licensed, or they're just trying to sell you something, and you they take your money and then they're gone.
Mm.
Whereas I think, again, as you do, we want to build that long-term relationship. I'm here. Call me if you have a question. My clients get my personal phone number rather than an 800 number. The downside is that for some reason they feel the need to text me when they're on the way to the emergency room. And I'm like, no, you're covered. Let's get it taken care of. And then you call me. Or I'm sure when the stock market takes a tumble, your phone starts ringing off the hook and you know exactly who it is. Am I okay? Am I going to be okay? And you're like, we planned for this.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so I think it's more, sometimes again, we're better positioned in some respects because of our nature and
Mhm.
the way that we can approach clients. But then on the flip side, it's insurance and financial services have typically been male dominated
Mhm.
fields. So sometimes I think it's harder to establish yourself as a credible professional, maybe because of your gender, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We're still working on that one.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, in my industry, I've been in my industry for over 25 years now. I can't believe that. But when I came into the industry, it was less than 15% women. And it is still less than 15% women. Yeah. And sometimes they'll include licensed assistants in that number so they can pad it a little bit. So it's probably not even as high as 15%. There's been no move in the direction that we need for my industry. It's
But
sad.
why? Yeah,
It's really
but
sad.
yeah, I guess what is that one of the reasons you went out on your own? I mean, what you've been in it over 5 years and look at how well you've done.
I know. I'm so happy. Yes. No, I just, I went out on my own because I didn't want to work for a company that was trying to push products on my clients. And I wanted my clients to have true freedom of choice. And, I just had that conversation too many times where I was like, no, I'm not putting something in my clients' portfolios just because it's good for the bottom line of the big giant company. So we moved independent over 5 years ago and have not looked back since. It's been fantastic.
That is so cool. That is, because I'm sure you started out on your own. Like I left the security of education, you left the security of, a firm. And it's like, but you have that belief in yourself
Mhm.
that, what, if you do the right thing for people, you know what, they will get it and your business will build. Because I'm sure yours is, mine is now all referral. I'm
Yep.
not one, most of my colleagues are those annoying telemarketers that you hang up on. And isn't it better to be in a place where people are seeking you out because they've heard of the phenomenal job that you do and they want that for themselves?
Absolutely. So much better. So much
Oh
better.
gosh, yeah.
But it takes a while. I mean, that's our expertise. That's, we've worked really hard for that. So, and we have the deep bench of knowledge at this point.
And a lot of sleepless nights.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Speaking of sleepless nights, obviously, we've all had to pivot for the pandemic and the quarantine and all, and a lot of us are working from home, working from the office periodically. How do you see going forward? How do you see that changing? Are you still going to stay working remotely? How are you going to do it? What are your thoughts?
It's ironically our ideal business model is we sell virtually
Mhm.
because I'm licensed in 10 states, so there's no way I can physically go to.
Oh, okay.
But personally, I was resisting that. I did 98% of my visits were in person. I go to someone's home or meet them somewhere. And so it's been beneficial for me because one, I've learned better virtual selling and my clients now don't balk at it. They don't think that you're not giving them the full attention. So they're more accustomed to doing it. And it's made me more productive simply because I don't have the drive time. I don't have a lot of the downtime. The other thing that I did is, our office is in Quakertown and I'm in the Harrisburg area. And so I was working out of my home and it just got to the point where I had to get out. So I
Mhm.
actually went and rented office space, and
Oh,
it's worked while I'm in a property and casualty agency, but right now I'm looking out at the Susquehanna River in the capital. So
sweet.
for me, it's been a benefit. Plus, working in this agency, we can cross refer. So, and the other thing is with COVID, I mean, we far exceeded our sales budget last year because with the individual mandate, a lot of people didn't have insurance. And suddenly it's like, you know what? We better do something about it. And so it created an awareness. And really, I have to say, it helped our business.
Okay, good, good.
It
And
but
people got the insurance that they needed that they should have had to begin with.
exactly. And with the marketplace opening up, those that, were able to get lower cost, were able to take advantage of that. So I'm hopeful that more and more people, and with people losing their jobs and things like that, it was, where am I going to go? What I'm going to have to go without? And at least having those conversations and saying, you know what, you have alternatives. So I think, again, a lot of people, even though maybe they suffered a job loss or something, they didn't have to give up their, health insurance and their peace of mind.
Yeah,
That's
that's
kind of
great. That's really good. So
exactly.
we've lived through this pandemic, well almost. We're almost there. I keep saying that every day. We're almost there. Wishful
Uh,
thinking. Yeah, we're close. So let's, go down the road a bit and talk about what is your retirement vision? How do you envision your
um,
retirement?
and I appreciate that. I really love what I do. And because of the networking and the social contact, and I'm very fortunate because what I can do is I can kind of ease out of this. I can still continue to sell and network. And so that is helpful. And then I am actually starting a second business. And it's, and I'll share it with you because I don't think there's any people nearby, but I'm an avid tennis player. So I am going to build an indoor tennis and pickleball facility.
Oh my gosh, that's
I know. It's like
cool.
people are going, you're kidding me. You're supposed to be slowing down. It's like, you know what? It's one of those where you see a need, and so many people love the sport. And again, there are a lot of things going on in this immediate area that um, make the timing right. And I found people to help. So I'm excited because it's kind of, I can, add it on to what I'm doing now. And I just, I'm sure like you, I'm not a person to sit down and, so it's like finding that next, and this just kind of is coming together. So it's really exciting.
That is so exciting. That is
Yeah.
so
But then
neat.
people look at you and go, you're going to do what?
Yeah.
And it's a good thing you're not posting this for a while because my family doesn't know I'm doing this
Okay, good, good,
anymore.
good, 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 good. Um, but you know what? The cool thing about that is it's your passion. So you're going to gravitate more towards, gradually spending more time on your passion, and it doesn't feel like work. Even though we love what we do, we still, that's a fun side of, oh, let me get some of my energy out and do that. So that is really cool.
Thank you. And you're exactly right. I enjoy this, but like you said, it's a passion and it's something that I think I can benefit a lot more, kids starting to play tennis. I have a lot of friends and seniors, it's the social, and with pickleball evolving and there aren't a lot of places in our area to play. So, and we're looking at the whole sustainability I mean, it's just the timing in so many ways is right. And I just happen to have a couple of people that have the same vision. So it's nice that you're not doing it by yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
definitely. Yeah, yeah. A partner is always better.
exactly. So I'm looking for those investors. So if you have any clients that have some money sitting around,
Oh,
oh goodness. What about yourself though? How do you ease? I mean, you've got your practice. How do you go to I know you love what you do, but I'm sure at some point you'd rather kind of have someone else take the day to day and take a lot of that. How do you transition?
I think well, I know for a fact once my kids are out of college, I will live in the winter. I will live somewhere warm because I cannot take these cold winters. And the pandemic has proven that I can work from anywhere. So I will still work after the kids are done college, but I will not be physically in Pennsylvania in the cold months. I will come back, for like, mid-April through, late October, early November, and, physically be here, but I'll work remotely in the winter somewhere warm. Definitely somewhere warm.
Good for you.
Yeah. Yeah. Loving
Good.
that.
Well, and I think that's the cool thing about Zoom is the fact that you can literally work from anywhere. And I know my networking has actually increased because, this morning I did a 7:30 Zoom with the chamber in an hour and a half away. And,
Wow.
and I wouldn't have been able to do that and make those connections
Right.
if I had to physically be there.
True.
So, I'm hoping that some aspects of the pandemic will, allow us to function. Like you said, go where you want, sit on the beach, do what you want, you can still be productive and you might even be happier and more productive,
True. Absolutely. Absolutely.
and we don't care what you're wearing from the waist down.
Very true.
Maybe you should strike that part.
It's okay. I have comfy pants on. I have black pants. They look good, but they're comfortable.
There
Yeah.
you go.
That will be the challenge, putting like real clothes on again. That's no fun.
Oh my gosh. I
Mm-mm.
agree.
Mm-mm.
I agree. That is for sure.
Kathryn, so if people find your message intriguing and want to learn more about you and what you do, where would they go to find more information about you and your business?
They can, if you look up, it's Kathryn Trapp at USH Advisors. If you Google it or the website, actually, website is kathytrapp.com. And there's actually a link if you, want to request a quote, want to follow up. I'm sorry, I'm not going to spam you. I'm not going to, but if you genuinely have questions, I am happy to help or put quotes together if you're thinking of retiring early and like you don't know what it's going to look like. And right now we're in 36 states, so I can pretty much get people numbers. If you live here but you want to move to Delaware and be on the beach or the Carolinas, so we have a lot of tools that can just provide that information.
No,
So
that's great.
but I appreciate that opportunity. Just I want to be a resource. If what I have is a good fit, that's fine. But you know what? There's a lot of other things out there that might work better. And if I can help somebody to have peace of mind, isn't that why you and I both do what we do?
Exactly. Exactly. Well, this is fantastic. Thank you for joining me today.
This was fun. This was
Yeah.
easier than I thought.
I see. I told you. I told you it's a lot of fun. It's easy. And I want to thank
Exactly.
everyone for watching us too. We appreciate the support out there in social media land. And again, I'm Regina Hess from Forge Wealth Management, and my website is forgewealth.com. I am on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Forge Wealth. And on LinkedIn, you can find me at Regina McCann Hess. Have a great day. Thank you.